Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. One person who tested positive for COVID-19 has died, and there are 32 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan today. 2 of the new cases are in the northwest, with 1 in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 22 active cases. There are 607 active cases province-wide, with 58 in the northwest. 75 people are in hospital, with 7 in the northwest. 1 million doses of the vaccine have been administered province-wide, with more than 65,000 in our zone. Public art has become a hot-button issue in many Canadian municipalities, with taxpayers frustrated over public money going to art installations. As Jace Mackey explains, when it comes to Lloydminster's public art policy, the city is hoping to strike the right balance between supporting the art community and being fiscally responsible.
This week, Lloydminster City Council approved a new policy relating to public art. The policy sets guidelines for the donation of art to the city and allows for the purchase of art through a public art reserve. At least 1% of the city's annual capital surplus will be put towards an art reserve for the purchase, installation, and maintenance of public art. After the policy was reviewed at last week's GPC meeting, Mayor Gerald Albers was pleased with what he sees as a blended model.
From the donation perspective, where people can actually say, I'd like to donate this to the city. They also qualified it by saying art is not always art for everybody, which I understand, and that was laid out in the policy. As well, setting aside some dollars, very small, 1% of the surplus of capital, into a fund to potentially cover off maintenance and acquisition.
Supporters of public art say that it adds value to the cultural and aesthetic vitality of a community and enhances the quality of life for residents and visitors. Deputy Mayor Jonathan Torreson has heard from local artists who wanted to see the city put a policy in place.
There's artists out in the community who are just looking to have their artwork displayed, and we're now giving an opportunity for that to start moving forward.
The city will be taking ownership of the art acquired through the policy, and it will become part of the museum's collection. A public art advisory committee will also be set up. The committee will be made up of members from the city and the public and will evaluate public art submissions.
Establishing a committee that says, okay, what are the items we would like to display within our community and not display? And I think that our policy that we got today definitely gets us moving in that direction.
Torreson also adds that the policy will be reviewed to make sure that it's working the way it was intended to.
But at the end of the day, it's always a moving process with these policies. So we're going to see what really works. We're going to see if there's anything that doesn't work, and we'll make adjustments as we go.
For Primetime Local News, I'm Jace Mackey.
The Lloydminster District SPCA is asking local residents to consider becoming a foster home for their animals in care. There are currently about 50 cats and kittens who are available for fostering. The SPCA says becoming a foster home is perfect for those who are on the fence about adopting, as there is no cost to them.
So essentially our foster parents just need to provide a love and a safe space for the cats. So we provide the food, the treats, the toys, all the essentials, litter box, litter, as well as medical care for the kittens.
A foster animal stay can vary in length, with placements lasting anywhere from 1 week to 2 months. While the shelter primarily deals with cats, they still have a variety of animals.
We foster everything under the sun, so from dogs, cats, to even our small animals, rabbits, gerbils, hamsters. It's always better to have an animal be able to experience life in a home as opposed to the shelter. We do the best we can here to make their stay as comfortable as possible, but it obviously doesn't compare to a home.
Those interested can contact the SPCA by phone or apply on their website. In the final Beyond the Classroom of the school year, we get a preview of how graduation is going to look for the 2021 graduates of Holy Rosary High School.
This school year was a year virtually like no other. For most of it, our graduating class was not able to be physically together at school, but we were able to be virtually together.
Speeches are recorded, dresses and suits have been bought, and the 2021 Holy Rosary High School grad is only a few days away. The school is once again holding a drive-through grad, but this year they had more time to plan out how the graduation will look, and the teachers wanted to make sure they held something special for the students.
Our grade 12s have been on such a roller coaster this year. They've been at school half-time. Their extracurricular sports and clubs don't really look the same, but we're just so proud at how they've persevered. So we are so excited to be able to celebrate with our grads and acknowledge all their accomplishments.
And the amount of effort the teachers have put in for the students hasn't gone unnoticed, as the 2021 grads are grateful for how much work has gone into their graduation.
It's like super amazing to see the teachers actually give so much effort and see how much they actually care about us, and just I wish students could appreciate how much time they spent planning for us and trying to make sure that our day was special. It just means a lot to us as a grad class.
The grad this year will be similar to last year's, but will feature a big screen, a fully decorated stage for students to walk out on, and videos featuring the grads. Last year's ceremony got a lot of positive feedback, and even some of the students liked this new way more.
We have more flexibility in our day. We have time that we can spend with our family a little bit more. It's not so much everyone packed in a small gym. We can be outside, we can enjoy the weather. We can also kind of highlight each grad more individually.
And for one of the last times before the grad ceremony on Friday, these two students practiced their speeches.
Since I'm coming to you on screen, you can listen to my voice as soon as you wake up. You can listen to me repeatedly, or heck, you can listen to me talk all day. And let's get real, you can mute me, you can fast forward me, or you can even power me off. Either way, it's a win for all of us.
Through it all, I'm still so proud to say that I am part of the class of 2021. Each and every one of you has still accomplished so much, and there's nothing but promise for the future of this group.
And that's it for this school year's Beyond the Classroom.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College, home to the most hands-on education in Canada. Apply today and graduate job ready.
Now our Connor Chan will take a first look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasper. Looking at temperatures, a little bit cooler today as we are seeing lots of overcast, lots of cloud coverage. That's going to probably stop by tomorrow as we are going to start to be back into those 20-degree ranges. A little bit of thunderstorm risk for some areas south of Alberta, as well as in those southern eastern parts of BC, as well as into Manitoba. But for us right now, we're going to just mostly see some overcast, a little bit wind as well on top of that. But looking at some other temperatures in the area, 21 degrees in Vegreville and Vermilion, with 19 up in Cold Lake, Pierceland, and in Lac La Biche. 20 degrees also we see that in Wainwright and Provost, as we continue to see a little bit of that warm front making its way through here in the immediate central areas of Alberta and Saskatchewan here. So 20 also in Maidstone and 22 degrees in North Battleford. Looking at satellite radar map, mostly clear for the most part, as we do see, as I mentioned, a little bit of some areas seeing a bit of an overcast that we could see over the next little bit here, but we are going to start to see some clearer skies into the coming weekend as well. But as we look overnight in North Battleford, 10 degrees with a few clouds, and then we go into 24 degrees for tomorrow. So we are going to warm up just a little bit there, but continuing on, that overcast is going to hover over us for the next little bit here. 12 degrees overnight in Cold Lake, with 26 degrees for tomorrow as the daytime high. And as we look for us here in Lloydminster, we're going to see 12 degrees over a little bit of clouds overnight tonight, and we are going to get same kind of cloud coverage as we did today, but just a little bit warmer as we get to that high of 24. And then by Friday, there it is, that's where we should start to see a lot of the temperatures warming up here, as we are going to get to 27 degrees. We could see lots of days next week that are going to be in that 30-degree range there, but a lot of the thunderstorm risks are mostly out in the Manitoba areas, as a lot of that cold front is still going to make its way into those parts of Manitoba and parts of eastern Saskatchewan as well. And then going into Saturday, we'll have that high of 28 degrees, as we'll still see a little bit of cloud coverage, and we could also see a little bit of wind as well on top of that, as well as into both Friday and on Saturday there. That is a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
The last time the Lloydminster Bobcats saw competition on the ice was back in November. Now the team will shift from the Civic Center to the Service Sports Center for their Summer Prospects Camp. Evan Kenny has more.
Well, I'm pleased to be joined now by Lloydminster Bobcats head coach and general manager Nigel Dubé. Nigel, thank you for taking this time and joining me.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, Nigel, exciting weekend coming up for the team as the Summer Prospects Camp is just around the corner, starting this Friday, going until Sunday. Now, Nigel, just starting things off, obviously exciting time for the team, exciting time for, kids coming out, trying out for the team. How many players will be at the camp this weekend?
We're excited. We're excited to have, we're going to do 6 smaller teams here, which is exciting just to get back on the ice and get into those games and to play out there. I think the big part for us is, we're really looking forward to kind of the start of that 21-22 season. And it's been a long wait for us, a little bit longer here in Lloydminster. But, the other exciting part is for our players and our prospects to see our city, to get familiar with it and see how much we have to offer here in the border city. And that's an exciting part. So I just think a lot of positives overall that we're going to, and, getting guys back on the ice, whether they've been on the ice or not, and just getting into, things moving forward.
And Nigel, adding on to that, it's exciting too. There will be some fans in the stands, 85 spectators there. So it'll be cool for not only for the fans to be able to see some of the future players coming up, but as well for some of those future players to be able to see, what the crowd, what the fans are like here in Lloydminster.
Well, and I think that's a part of it, right? Just seeing the facilities. We'll be over at the service, but seeing the facilities, and we've had some of our veteran players where their parents have reached out and like, hey, can we come watch? I think people are just missing that atmosphere of being in the rink and being able to watch live sports, and it gives an opportunity to have some fans there, and more than welcome. Obviously, there's a small capacity at that, but just to stop in and see what's going on. And I think that's, again, we're probably going to use the word exciting here a lot, Evan, but I think it is an exciting time.
Now, Nigel, this is one thing that the team did miss out last season. I guess just how much different will this be, for this offseason, having this camp relatively early on in the summer?
Yeah, well, we're going to be one of 3 teams here kicking off this weekend as things continue to move forward. We were able to bring in our athletes, our veteran players, and have some skill sessions during the time where 8 were allowed on there. So we did that. But again, I think it's just a positive. There's a lot of question of what next year looks like already. And I think it's just a positive that, that we're moving in this direction and things are working towards that. And obviously excited for the fall to roll around. And this is the first step.
Now, Nigel, final question here from myself. What are you looking for in what could be the future Bobcats players here?
Well, for us, we want to see the guys that did the work while things were shut down, whether that was shooting pucks in their garage or finding a way to, work out at home without equipment or with equipment, and those guys that really dedicated themselves to the game. And I think that's going to be a big part here early, is to see, who did that and who's kind of, maybe went the other way and just kind of sat around and used it as a reason to not be active. So that's a big part. But we have our core values here in family, discipline, commitment, and integrity. And that's a big part of it. Those and our players every day on the ice, how they handle themselves in the community, when they're interacting with other people. And when they're in our community out and about it, whether it be at the restaurant or, those things like that. So we break it all down. I think it's one of those, it's cliche like, but the eyes are always on you as an athlete. And we'll see how they do here. And I think, there's going to be some good competition all around and really push each other and push our veteran players too as well.
Nigel, this should be a very exciting weekend coming up. Obviously, starting off what should be hopefully an exciting year moving forward for the Lloydminster Bobcats. Nigel, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Now our Connor Chan will take another look at your weather forecast.
As we're looking at temperatures right now, we're still sitting around that 19 degrees, and we continue to be like that right now as we are seeing lots of mid-20 temperatures throughout the day, as we are going to still see a little bit of an overcast throughout most of the immediate Lakeland regions. And by the time we hit the weekend, we should hit lots more sun and lots of heat coming back into the mix here. 22 degrees in Edson and Rocky Mountain House and Jasper, 21 degrees out in Edmonton and Red Deer right now. Looking over to Saskatchewan right now, 23 in Saskatoon with 23. Also, we see that in Melfort, 19 degrees in Meadow Lake and 20 22 in North Battleford. Looking at temperatures in the northern areas, still pretty mild in those mid-20s and those late teens as well. 20 in La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, and in La Ronge as well, with 12 degrees in Uranium City and 19 degrees in Flin Flon. 21 degrees out in Grand Prairie right now, with 21 also. We see that in Fort McMurray, 22 for High Level, and then 15 in Fort Chipewyan. This is where the story is going to be for the most part here for southern Alberta, as there are a little bit of a higher risk for some thunderstorms heading into tomorrow and later in the evening. That it's going to make its way more so into from the southern eastern areas of British Columbia that are going to be in those Calgary areas and just areas south of Calgary as well, but it's not going to hit us anytime soon here. But 25 degrees, we'll see that right now in Lethbridge as the heat continues to go up a little bit here. So 26 in Medicine Hat, 23 degrees in Calgary. Moving over to the southern Saskatchewan area, still pretty mild for the most part. 23 in Moose Jaw, 22 in Swift Current, as well as in Regina and Kindersley, and then 27 degrees in Estevan. Looking across the country here, Winnipeg Manitoba could see a lot of those thunderstorms as well, as we go to 26 for Winnipeg, 23 in Toronto, 18 degrees in Quebec City. Those areas in Ontario could start to see a lot of rain over the course of the next couple of days. 19 degrees in Halifax, 21 also we see that out in Vancouver, and 12 degrees up in Yellowknife. So lots of overcast throughout most parts of the country as we're starting to see those lower pressure systems coming in, and lots of rain and lots of thunderstorms with that heat and the cooler temperatures that we've been getting. So it's going to be mostly in those southern areas like I've been saying there. So looking at tomorrow, we are going to warm up a little bit, but we're still going to see a little bit of an overcast for tomorrow. So 24 in Lloydminster as well as in Marwayne and Vermilion, 25 degrees in Wainwright, 26 also we'll see that up in Bonnyville and Cold Lake, as well as 25 degrees for Edmonton, 24 in North Battleford, 23 in Macklin and Maidstone, as well as 25 degrees. We'll see that in Green Lake, Meadow Lake, and up in Isle La Crosse as well. Now, as we look ahead to those next 7 days, I did mention we are going to start getting warm and sun by Friday. So 27 there for Friday, 28 degrees on Saturday, 31 degrees on Sunday. As you can see here, starting on Sunday, we'll have a good string of heat for the next couple of days here, at least up until Wednesday, until we could go further on. We could see those 30 trends continue well into Thursday and Friday of next week, but clear skies expected on Monday and Tuesday, so very warm temperatures there. And then we'll also see 35 degrees again on Wednesday, where we'll have a little bit more cloud coverage throughout the day. That's a look at your weather forecast. For now, we'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a local lawyer and mediator with Henke Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster. And this is another episode of Healthy, Thriving Families in Two Homes. And today, Stephanie, this is a really interesting topic. It's basically how when you have adult children going through separation or divorce, how you can support them. So let's start out by talking about that. And if you can give me some tips, if your adult children are going through this process, what are some of the ways that you can get involved to help support them?
Sure. So I've divided this one into my top 3 tips. So tip number 1, encourage your adult child to consider positive and healthy separation or divorce. So often, of course, adult children will come to their parents for advice as they're going through a separation or divorce. But irrespective of how you as the parent or the grandparent feel about your soon-to-be ex, it's really important to help them to sort of see the forest for the trees and to help them to maintain some civility during their separation and divorce. On our Henke Divorce website, we have lots of resources on process choices and negotiation options that can help people to stay civil as they go through the separation and divorce. So tip number 2, think of ways that you can be there to support your children. So that might be financial support, that might be respite support, that might be emotional support. So let's talk first about financial support. I'm sure you can think of ways to financially help your child as they go through this. So you may want to help them with things like setting up a new residence, caring for the grandchildren to help them reduce their childcare expenses, co-signing for a loan if they need it, or even helping with their professional fees. So it's really important, of course, to document this properly if you are going to help your children out, because you want to document it either as a loan or as a gift for the future repayment. The second thing, respite support. So would it help your children if you took the grandkids for an overnight or even for a weekend? Maybe you can clean their house or even drive the grandkids to their activities, or help your adult child by cleaning their house for them once in a while. So that's respite support. And the third one is emotional support. So of course, be there as a shoulder to cry on, or just an ear to listen. So hold back your own feelings about the separation and divorce, and just allow them to vent and to be, and you can be a support in the way that they ask you to be a support. So tip number 3 is be flexible. Your adult child is going to be going through a lot. There's going to be lots of new traditions that come up, and holidays and special occasions that you're going to have to be thinking about and planning for, extended family gatherings. And so it's really important to be flexible, because your adult child is going to be learning to develop their own new traditions in a 2-home family.
Now, Stephanie, if you are a grandparent and you realize that your grandchildren are really going through, a high conflict separation, what are some of the ways that you can help out your grandkids in that scenario?
I've got this one labeled down into 3 tips as well. So let's start with tip number 1. Be there as a support to your grandchildren as much as you can. Of course, your grandchildren are going to be experiencing various emotions about their journey moving from one home into 2. And grandparents can be a great diversion. They can be great, just fun, drama-free time for the children. Tip number 2, maintain a united front with the parents. So the messaging about the separation and divorce is the parents' role, not the grandparents' role. So it's really important to understand what the parents have told the children and how they've told the children and how much the children know, so that you can be there to reinforce the parents' messaging and to support how the parents want to process the information with their children about the separation and divorce. And tip number 3, always speak positively about both parents. You may be more aligned with your blood child than with your soon-to-be ex, but your grandchildren should be none the wiser. They shouldn't be having any kind of reinforcing messages that cause any kind of polarization for the children.
Well, Stephanie, this is a very interesting topic, and grandparents are so important in this whole thing. So thank you for speaking with us today. And next week, when you come back, we're going to start speaking a little bit more in depth as to what grandparents' roles should be and how they can help during this process. So thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
I am joined here today with Pierre Oberg at Portage College to speak about the Art of Relief exhibition that opened Monday, June 21st. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, can you tell us more about this art exhibition?
Oh, absolutely. And first of all, thank you for your invitation today, Shelby. That's very good. Yeah, we're the students at Portage College have partnered up with students at University of Alberta and students and instructors. I should mention the instructors as well at all schools at Sapporo Atani University. And we are involved with a show that has a COVID theme that we've been planning and working on for about a year. Conversation started last June, and the show opened up this Monday at the Stuart McPherson Public Library here in Lac La Biche, Alberta. And the name of the show is Timestamps, the Art of Relief.
Yes, actually, could you actually expand a bit more on how this will portray the era of COVID-19?
Stamp is a technique that we will often use. And I thought we needed something to work on in the studio. So I went and talked to the students and I said, hey, what do you think of this idea? We're working at Portage College through this pandemic. we do use stamping and relief techniques in the studio. Do you want to reflect on what it is to be here in Lac La Biche, working through at the college, COVID-19 and everything that it was bringing to our community and to many global communities? And they said yes. And we reached out to our friends at the University of Alberta and also Sapporo Otani University, whom we've gotten to know over the past number of years through connections through U of A, and to see if anybody was interested in joining us in the show. And so, yes, Professor Oliver at U of A, and Professor Mills, and Professor Akabe, and Professor Khan from Sapporo Otani University, they all said, yeah, this is great. We want to get involved. So that was really neat. So we started working. And so we were able to, with this show, give a regional perspective on the work and what it feels like to be going through a pandemic in a small community in Northern Alberta, but also what it's like for students that are going through a pandemic in a big metropolitan area, such as Edmonton, or in another country. And it was really great to have students and instructors at Sapporo Otani University join us. So we could go from the regional to the provincial to the international and get a real multicultural take on what it feels like for a lot of people going through the pandemic and what relief will feel like for them. And they've students and instructors have done this visually in many, many different media.
What specifically will the art exhibition have all involved inside of it?
Yeah, for sure. So, Shelby, we have about 60 artworks in the show and a very diverse range of art media. Everything from traditional loom beading to fine arts printmaking in the relief form to video work.
When will the exhibition be open until?
The exhibition runs at Stuart McPherson Public Library from June 21st till August 27th.
And for people interested, where can they find more information about this online?
You can go to the library website. So I would just Google the Stuart McPherson Public Library and reach out to their wonderful staff there. And or you could go to the Portage College website as well. And you can find more information about timestamps, the art of relief.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would just like to personally thank the staff at the Stuart McPherson Public Library, because they do a wonderful job of exhibiting artwork there. They do Treks, Alberta Foundation for the Arts shows throughout the year, and they've allowed us to have an exhibition space within those shows that they bring in. And I would also like to thank the students and staff, students and instructors, I should say, with all the arts programs at Portage College, because we have a nice selection of different arts programs at Portage College. And then I would also like to thank, again, the professors and students at the University of Alberta and also at Sapporo Otani University in Japan. And I would also like to thank the Current for putting on that great interview with Matt Galloway and Jill Lepore, which sort of started the whole idea rolling. I think people, when they come and see the show, that they will relate to their own personal experience through the eyes and creative abilities of the artists that are participating on what it feels like to be going through this pandemic and what the timestamp is going to feel like for different people.
Thanks again so much for joining us today, Pierre.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.